Very happy to be here to talk both as a policymaker and also as a funder of citizen engagement in research or citizen science or participatory research, as you said. So I'm going to give these perspectives to you both as a policymaker and as a funder, and also give you some links to projects, because it very much includes also citizen science in the fields of SSH. So why are we doing this, both as a policymaker and as a funder? We're doing it because in our science and research policy, of course, excellence and impact is what it's all about. And we believe that in many cases, to include citizen societal engagement in the research process itself increases the excellence of the research outputs. We see a larger scope. For instance, we see that through citizen science, you can both collect but also analyze a larger quantity of data. And so the complete quality of the data set that are underlying the research becomes indeed of higher quality. So all in all, more robustness of the research results, more rigor in the methodology is also important to work hand in hand, of course, with scientific practices. What we have seen also in many cases is that when societal actors or non-academic actors are involved upfront in the research, we also see the effects downstream. We see that in terms of quicker uptake of the innovations, because the needs of the end users, the values of societal actors, the expectations also from the research taking place is more closely aligned. And I should add here also that very often when introducing innovations, they are linked to behavioral changes. So also there we see an effect in terms of effectiveness of the investments that we do in research. And finally, very importantly, the openness, the increased transparency of the process for society also leads to increased confidence of society in the science that are being developed. So for all these reasons, we see in many cases the need to promote and also to fund citizen science activities. And this you see very concretely reflected in what we adopted last year, which is a pact for how research and innovation should be done in Europe, with keywords that links very closely to participatory research, societal responsibility, making good use of knowledge in society, an active engagement of citizens and other societal actors in the research itself. You see it also in the concrete actions that we have put in place under the new European research area, where we have actions in place to either sustain or scale up citizen science activities. And you see it also in our funding. So in Horizon Europe, it is explicitly said that the program shall promote both the co-creation of research agendas and the co-design of the content of the research, the results of the research. More specifically, in Horizon Europe, it has gone from what it was in Horizon 2020, which was one part, a dedicated part called Science with and for Society, to become more integrated across the program, more embedded, in particular in the second pillar of Horizon 2020, in the clusters and the missions. And this is done both in terms of the content that you see in this more thematic oriented part of the program, but also in terms of operations. So in particular, it's explicitly mentioned as a consideration in the award criteria. So it's part of excellence. So of course, excellence is about going beyond the state of the art, but excellence in the context of Horizon Europe and in the context of the Pact is also a matter of the methodology that is used to develop the results of the research. And here we explicitly ask all proposers to consider the involvement of citizens and civil society in the research. And this is reflected also later on in the program operations in terms of what needs to be reported from each and every project in the program, of course, to the extent that they include citizen science as part of the approach for the project. A few examples that we have seen already in the first wave of projects that we are supporting on the Horizon Europe. We see that some are involving citizens very much upstream. So in terms of setting or being part of setting the agenda for the research to be done in the project, to be part also on giving requirements for technology roadmaps and other kinds of frameworks that are needed to frame the research to be done in the project. We see it also as part of citizen science and participatory research in co-creating with non-academic actors the research results, and it takes place in various forms. Of course, traditionally it has been a lot about citizen science involvement in terms of extending the data collection, giving new angles to the analysis of the data, establishing explicit structures, for instance, living labs or experimental facilities or test beds, all the way down to involving citizens in assessing, in monitoring, in evaluating, and giving feedback to the results of the projects, and that very much in an iterative way of going forward. A few pointers that I would like to give to you. We have issued a results pack of citizen science that takes some of the highlights from the projects that we supported throughout Horizon 2020. So here you see some of the results. It also has a link to all of them, and indeed some of them are in the areas of social sciences and humanities. I would also like to mention two projects that we have just launched on the Horizon Europe. One is an extension of what you might have known over the past years of the EU.Citizen Science platform. That is a collection of tools and services and projects on citizen science that can both be used as an inspirational source, but also as a source of finding partners, creating new networks. And indeed, this new project will also have not only a capacity building and awareness raising activities, but also a collaboration element to it. So please have a look at how this is further being developed. And again, there are on this platform also many examples of activities in SSH. The other one I would like to mention, because today we're talking about funding of SSH citizen science activities, is the important element, of course, of sustainability of citizen science initiatives. So there will be opportunities now that we have launched this project, Impetus. The project itself will issue calls, open calls, to sustain existing citizen science initiatives, but also to kickstart new ones, as you can see on the slide. So again, another pointer for you also to watch out for how these are being funded. And you know, co-funding is also always welcome, of course. So here is another pointer to sustaining, so very much of course about funding citizen science initiatives. And again, I mean, this will come of course bottom up, but it's likely that there will be initiatives also in the area where you're focusing, the SSH fields. And the final point I want to give is that we have been running now for more than a year what we call a mutual learning exercise. So the exercise is more for the member states that are in charge of citizen science initiatives and funding also, for them to learn from each other what kind of policies are put in place at national level, what can we do at national level, what can we do together with other nations to have citizen science initiatives that cross borders within Europe and to scale them up. So this exercise has been working according to 5 themes, as you see here, and of particular relevance for today's audience is, I would say, is the 4th one, that discussed the enabling environments for citizen science and how to sustain citizen science. So this is very much about the framework conditions for citizen science, and of course, funding is a very important element of that. But also have a look at the other thematic reports that are useful again to identify what's going on across Europe. So with that, I will end my presentation. I hope this has given you an insight into why we as policymakers promote citizen science in all fields, but also in SSH, why we fund it in Horizon Europe, and the kind of initiatives that we have put in place, which hopefully is useful for practitioners, funders across Europe. Thank you.